Hey, this is Gene. I just want to talk a little bit about Garnacho. Um, it's now Friday. I guess the 24th. I think it is. I don't know. I think it is. Wait. Yeah. Today's the 24th of January. Um, Personally, I don't think we should sell him. I understand how the club, from a financial viewpoint, is. My issue is this. I've heard like Mark Goldbridge and Sam Peoples, and they look at this financial stuff a little bit differently. Sam People looks at it rationally and says, "This is where we're at. We're in debt, probably in the neighborhood of about 500 billion or 500 half a billion, and that's in pounds. Um, and there's a lot of debt that we have to owe, and a lot of interest on top of that debt. And my question has always been, because Mark says that if Inio or if Qatar came in and bought it off, and they would have took away all the debt, that we'd be in a bit better position. But then he forgets the issue is that we could not verify what Seep, whatever his name was, actually had that money. The club, the people that talk about finance all said that they could never actually verify this man actually had that type of money. And that's what we kept waiting for. It's not like the Glazers didn't want to sell it. They want to sell it. And I have a little issue because now Mark is saying that it's Glinios. So it's the Glazers and Ineos. And that's the problem why we're 13th in the league. And I'm like, okay, we're going to continually blame the ownership. And there's reasons there. And I've made many videos about this. They didn't take care of the stadium. They didn't take care of the Carrington. They didn't do a lot of things they should have done. And yes, they bought players and put them on the credit card instead of actually putting a lot of their own money into it. Now, my statement really is this. Can Ratcliffe come in and just say, you know what, I'm going to just wipe out the debt? And would that be okay with PSR? If it can be that way, then we could probably have a little issue with him. But if we can't do that, if he just can't come in right there and say, look, I'm going to take half of my money, the money that I have, if he's worth $20 billion, and he just wants us to have a good start instead of doing all the other shit that they've done in the background, raising the ticket prices, taking away the I don't know what the ambassadors, their pay, like for Sir Alex Ferguson and Robbie Robinson, and Robo, and all these players. I'm sorry, I've had a couple beers, so I'm not 100% together when I'm talking about this, but the point still remains. Why are we trying to get nickel and dime that way to get back to where we need to be financially? If he has the ability to go in and say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to put $500 million in this and just put us back where we need to be, and then we could just not have to worry about getting rid of Garnacho, who is 20 years old. So it's going to be 20. He's not going to be 21 until January or July. Who shows real talent and has a huge amount of potential. I have issues with him in some things, right? He's a young guy, does certain things. He's grown up in a social media age. This is what's going to happen. I'm not so sure he's fast enough to play the position as a winger, but he doesn't really have to do that in this system. So if we can get him to play in the 10, he'll be fine there. He just has to learn how to play it. And I thought he played well last night. He is clearly one of the top 3 players we've had on this team for the last 2 years. It's not even close. He is. He has been every day, every week that he was available, Ten Hag played him. And he has the ability to make everybody on the other team worry about him. And that him and Ahmad are the only players that have it on our team. And Ahmad is having his issues now like Garnacho has. They're both selfish when they have the ball, in my mind. There were many times in that game yesterday that both could have made better passes, but both did actually play good passes, and we didn't finish it. So that's another big problem that we have in this team. We have some opportunities. We're not United from 2008. We don't have 20 real good chances in a game. We get 3 or 4, and we have to be able to at least get half of those in. That's what we have to be able to do, and we just don't do it. I thought we played somewhat muted last night, but good enough to win. And we're playing a team that probably is good enough to play in the championship because they have all their players. Now, a full fit Rangers team would probably play okay in the Premiership. I've heard this whole idea that a team like from Scotland couldn't do well in the Premiership. I don't believe that. You talk about how, regardless of what happened after the game, and the fact that their fans was in the wrong places, but they are very supportive, and I think that they would have enough money to do something in the Premiership. And of course, it's like when people come up from the Championship, they get money from the Premiership so they can stay competitive as much as they possibly can in the Premiership. So I would think that they would be okay. I think Celtic or Rangers would do okay. I don't think they would really vie for anything. I think maybe one of those years they might be in the top four. You get the right players together, anything can happen. Leicester did it. You know, their teams right now, Forest is in the top four. It's not like we don't have those things in the Premiership. It could happen. I don't want us to sell them. Now, I get it. It's great for the PSR. But what I'm telling you is this. If we know that all that Sir Jim Ratcliffe could do, if he could put his own money in there, bring the shit down so the PSR is not involved, then why would he not do that? And as fans, can't we give money to the club so we can help them with that? You talk about a team that is one or two as far as fall around the world. There's enough people out there that if we had the ability that we could put some sort of our own money into the team, we should be able to do that. And they only have 28% of the team anyway of Manchester United, the entire entity. Why as fans, why can't we have 10%? Why can't we put in $1 billion in between all of us and have part of it? And then that money can go to bringing down the debt, and then we can do what we want to do in the transfer market and get rid of all the players we don't need. I think most of the fans, supporters, know there are 4 or 5 players that don't need to be there anymore, and I don't think they're not redeemable under this coach. And we need to get rid of some of the older players. And as much as I like Eriksson, I think if he would stay around and it would be able to take $50,000 a week, I would keep him because he's a really good player. And against probably 40 or 50% of the population or of the opponents, he could play well. So I don't really want to get rid of him. He's right there, and I'm sure he could do stuff with Comey and Ugarte and Collier just to be there as a mentor for those guys. He is so good when he has the ability. And you know what? Whether he doesn't have the legs anymore, he still gets to positions where people give him the ball, whereas people have the legs don't. I sit there and watch Kobe Manu, and he sits there and he doesn't move to the right position. This is the same thing we had the problem with McTominay. He did the same thing, and people call it like he's hiding in big games. He didn't have the soccer and football IQ to go to the right positions to get the ball. And regardless who he plays at, Eriksson is always calling for the ball, and he finds those little areas to be open. So that thing can be taught, and I think he'd be good there. And then you maybe, if he wants to stay on to be like a coach or something like that, then keep him on. Now, if he wants to play full time and he wants to go back to his native country, fine, that's great. And I would love for him to stick around. And people are, we got to get rid of him. No, we don't. He's making $150,000, but I'm sure he would say, you know what, I'll stay around for 65. And I know that I'm going to be a guy that's only going to get 5 or 6 starts in the Premiership, but I'm going to be in the FA Cup, the League Cup, possible in Europe if possible. I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, Casemiro has to go because he gets way too much money. I think Evans, even though he's a good player, I think he needs to go as well. But again, I don't know what's wrong with him. Is he hurt? He's not even in the team. And I know he got a little knock, but maybe I just don't, he's really a good player. But again, we don't really want 35-year-old guys to be the rebuilding of the new Manchester United, right? So we have to do something like that. And there has to be a real conversation when it comes to the goalkeeper. But going back to Garnacho, he should never be sold. And we should, as Manchester United, we're not, and I think Mark makes a very good point, we're not Everton. We're not Brighton. Brighton, their whole business model is to get these players early in their career, train them up a little bit like that, and then sell them along. And they make a lot of money doing that. Manchester United doesn't need to do that. Now, apparently we have to because we don't have any money. But that's just crazy to me. And if there isn't a way that these guys are supposed to be the best that there is, if we don't have the ability as supporters that we have, this man has got over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. You know that Manchester United is fervently watched and supported in the neighborhood of about 100 million people. And there are enough people in United States, probably in the neighborhood of 1 million, who would clearly pay $10, $30, $100 to get a little part of the team. We have that in Green Bay. My son has got a share for Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers, because it's owned by the players or the fans, a part of it anyway. And like, why can't we do that? And why can't we not use that money to pay down the debt so we don't have to worry about PSR? And then we could use that we have that no one else has. Manchester City does not have. All they have is oil money. They can just keep throwing money into it. They have a good academy and they get players and they sell them out. They do a good thing with that. But this is the thing that we have. And the thing is, we are not been good. And at some point, these players, these fans are going to say, I'm not going to support Manchester United anymore. And they're going to watch City or whoever else is going to be. They're going to continually watch them. And we're going to lose that advantage that we have. And that's the thing we should have. Now, I don't know. Can we do it? Why the fact to even talk about it? I mean, if you really want the fans to be involved, why don't you not do something like have like a scheme that says we're going to put 10% of the team up as minority owners, and you can have a part of the team, and that money can go to get us out of debt, help build the new stadium. Again, I'm not a big fan of that either. If you're going to build a new stadium, it should look exactly like Old Trafford with all the modern stuff. It should look like Old Trafford. I don't want to look like a fucking toilet bowl. I don't like what they did in Bayern Munich. I don't like it. It looks stupid. Now, inside it's great, but it looks like a toilet bowl, and I don't like it. And I'm an old school guy, so that's the way it is. So why can't we do this? We're supposed to have the great players or great managers up there, or the great people up there at the top that know all this shit, Barella and all that shit. I don't understand why this is hard. Now, again, if I don't know, and when Sam Peoples talk about it, when Mark talks about it, I know they're both fans. People don't say that Mark is because he lives in Nottingham, but he clearly is. But now he's blaming the owners again, and some of that might be fair. But all I'm saying is, if the issue is now that we need about $500 million to get out of this fucking hole, and by doing that, we don't have to sell a guy that came to the academy. I know we bought him, but he went to the academy, got the FA Cup, Youth Cup there, and came through all that. And I know that for PSR, it will help us. But if we could actually pay all that shit off, why do we care about that and allow him to develop here? He's going to leave anyway in 4 or 5 years anyway. He's going to go to Madrid if he becomes this great player, just like Ronaldo did. That's who we should if we're ever going to sell anybody, that's a first-team guy, that's a world star. He's not that yet. Ronaldo was. Then that's fine, okay? If they said that's been their dream final destination, then we say, okay, we understand that. You did all this stuff for the club. Go ahead and go on. But we should not be just all of a sudden sending Garnacho to Napoli, even though they have a great record with Argentinian players. And we should not obviously send it to Chelsea. And all the shit that they've done to the staff and all that shit to get rid of them, and then not give them anything to the FA Cup thing and all that shit, this will be the worst thing. And it's not financial to them because those guys have lost their jobs. Obviously, it's a lot worse for them. But when you look at what this is going to be, they're going to actually alienate the fans against Ineos. And we're going to continually say that it's now Glazers that they're running it. Again, the Glazers are still the majority owner of this fucking team. All that Ineos has is that the football operations. That's all they have. And of course, yes, when they walk into it, they went into a bullshit. But they knew all this stuff before they walked in. There is nobody would sit there and say they didn't fucking know what it was. And they sold, 150 million during the summer? And we still did that, right? And I still think most of those players are decent enough. I like De Ligt, but he can't play in the middle there. He can't play that center back in the middle. He does not have the ability to pass the ball as well as Maguire. Now, Maguire had a mistake last night. I thought he got pushed. If you're going to sit there and say that we didn't get that goal with De Ligt, then there has to be a foul as well, regardless. And I think Harry is okay there, but I don't necessarily think that in the future, if you're still going to have Amaran here, that he is the first choice in that position. And Harry's in the 30s now. Okay, we got to get younger guys. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. The Premiership requires this type of thing. You can have certain areas in the pitch that you don't have, but you have to have other younger players that can do the rest of it, right? Like, that's why I love Collier. I think this is a great player. I hope the fuck we don't go down the GOAT road another year that all of a sudden he's valued at $50 million and we're going to get rid of him again because he came to the academy and we're going to get rid of him because of PSR. I think there has to be an ability here for these supposedly very smart men that are running this part of Manchester United, that if we can get some actual money into the club and the supporters, clearly we do it. I think that everybody that actually supports people online, like Bemmers or Patreon to like Mark or something, I'm sure the guy makes $1 million a year. I mean, you don't think these guys would not sit there, I'm going to give Mark $10 a month. You don't think they would give Manchester United $10 a month to make sure we keep our academy players, to see them actually get their potential out there, to see what they actually is. The greatness about Manchester United is this. And people are already worried about this because we're worried we're going to lose that over 4,000 games that we've had a player that's come from the academy that plays for Manchester United, at least that's on the team sheet, that we're going to lose that. And you know what? The other day is like, there's no English players on here, and all of a sudden I saw Claude there, and I said, okay, we have one. I was like, the game, diversity and all that bullshit we talk about, other parts of this channel, it's totally changed the game. And I'm okay with it to a certain point. I don't think we should go out and find any African guys all the time. So I'm not a big fan about looking at whatever his name, Dukuku is, to play that position. I think we had players already there that can do it. Or we can look through. We're 13th in the league. We don't want to be relegated. We're not going to finish in the top 4. We have to win the Europa League. We have to win that if we want to be in the Champions League. Bring in guys from, in my opinion, you bring guys from the youth team and bring them up into that position and see if they can play there. I wouldn't do it against Fulham, but you can definitely do it in the cup competitions for a while, maybe. I mean, you were playing Leicester in the FA Cup. That probably we shouldn't do that. But what I'm saying is there are ways around it. I think there's ways around all of this. The question is, what is that? Does everything be like that, or can we have the ability to bring in money in and just pay down the bad debt? Now, if I had $30 billion and I just, you know what, I'm just going to give you a loan, not a loan, or just a gift, and say, you know what, I'm going to give you a $500 million just to take care of the debt because I want to see my team play good, even though I don't own the game. It's a team. Can I do that? Or if the supporters want to go in and say we want to have 10% of the team, can't Manchester United bring it out there and say this is how the way we're going to raise money? Is instead of raising the ticket prices £66 a game. I mean, that's like $100. That's crazy to see soccer when other places you can see for $10, $15. I mean, Serie A, you play for $10, $15, you can see a game. In the United States, it's just as bad when you go to see NFL and certain college football games as well. I mean, you pay $200, $400, and then you got to play for parking, and it's $10 for a beer or $10 for a burger or something like that. So we all feel it here. And we know the players in our leagues are getting $90 or $50, $60 million a year to play a kid's game. And that's the same thing it is in soccer overseas. I know it's not the same. People don't want to call it soccer, but that's another fucking video we can talk about, the naming convention of what soccer really is. So this is where I'm at. There's no way we should fucking sell Garnacho. I was against McTominay, and I think that McTominay probably could have played in the system. And he's playing well in Napoli. But again, it's a different level, and it is. It clearly is. But he has the ability to do certain things like that. But he was later in life, 27, 20. That's okay. He's been in Manchester United for 20 years. Whatever, I get that. But Garnacho is probably our best attacking player in the last 2 years. you can say Ahmad is past him, but I don't see it. I think that, yes, there are certain things that Garnacho doesn't do well. He likes to go, puts himself in a cul-de-sac lock, but he is actually learning from all that. And the same thing happened to Ten Hag. Ten Hag saw him doing certain things he shouldn't do. He said, no, do this, sat him down, came back, played better. And this is how he is. He's one of those guys that actually learns from what he makes mistakes. And you saw what Amaranth said. He said, he did everything I asked him to do the way I asked him to do it. He could have scored 2 or 3 goals yesterday. The man, seriously, the man could have 15 goals this year. He clearly could have had. He's had 3 or 4 almost one-on-one types of things, but he's only 19, 20 at this point. And so you're talking about a guy that could next be, he's not going to be Ronaldo, okay? He doesn't have the speed of Ronaldo. He's just not, he's not a Timo version of Ronaldo, but he's not at that level. Ronaldo and Giggs are like the fastest guys we ever had for Manchester United. They're playing out wide. He's not there, but he's still a little bit faster than most guys in the Premiership. Now, if he goes to Napoli, he will just dominate the Serie A. He will. But he ain't going to do it here in Chelsea. He'll still be the same type of player. But again, there might be better players around him that gets him the ball in better positions, and he might have better scores. He'll score more. But again, he could definitely be, he's got 8 goals, I think, this year. That guy could have 15 easy. He could have probably 6 or 7 assists easy because we've had so many good shots or passes from him that we didn't put him in. So you can say Ahmad is the best player of the year. But I think Garnacho's right behind him. But that's not what Manchester United does. And I'm afraid they're going to do it. And I think it's going to really, it's already happening now, but I think it's going to really alienate us from the actual supporters. So I'm going to stop. I've been talking for 22 minutes. Shit's coming out of my mouth, all that. So my standpoint is don't fucking sell it. And I wanted Ineos to win. I didn't want Qatar to win because part of it was because we couldn't verify the funds that they had. And the other thing is I don't think Manchester United should bow down to whatever the shit is and let basically a Arabian type of state run the team. Oh, we would be so much better. Okay, maybe we would be. We'd probably be in the top 10. But again, we couldn't really verify that he had the funds. If he did, and he was to come in, he's going to say, we're not going to do all this stuff. We're not going to be doing all the Muslim shit at the same time. Maybe. But do we want to be Manchester City? That's all I have to say. Do we want to be a plastic club like Manchester City and have this? Or do we want somebody that's probably, I don't know if he's a fan or not, but I would rather an English person actually own Manchester United. That's just me. And I'm an American. So you can just take that for whatever you want. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we win against Fulham. I think it's going to be a really good game. People said we should be afraid. We play better on the road. If they want to go after us, I think we have players to beat them on the break. I think we'll be fine. I think we're going to get something out of that game, a draw or a win. And it's going to be if a draw, it'll be a score draw. 3-2 could happen. 3-1 could happen. The other question is, do you put in Bendadir or you put in Onana? We'll see what he does on Sunday. And also on Sunday we have the NFL championships, NFC and AFC. We'll see what happens with that. Personally, I don't want Kansas City to get back, but if they do, whatever. That's just what it is. But thank you for watching. If you like this, please like it. And then if you want to share it. It's fine. I would like to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can do other things that you can do in this channel. But thank you for watching. You guys have a good weekend, and we'll watch you on Sunday. And hopefully Manchester United actually wins. We got to get past getting in the 30s when it comes to points so we don't have to worry about relegation, and then we can do other things. We can put players into those positions. Maybe that's when Amarim will let players on the youth team come up and see if they can actually play. This is going to take a couple of years, right? But we have to make the decision that we're going to back this manager and not just fall into this whole thing like I said, we got to figure out, is there something we can do as supporters to help them instead of just complaining about everything? You guys have a good day, and we'll talk about it later.